There is a bit of news we want to get to as well before we get into questions from our Football Insider subscribers, and that is DeAndre Hopkins signing with the Titans. Not a big surprise. You've been saying here on this podcast and just kind of reinforcing in other spots that DeAndre Hopkins to the Browns likely was not going to happen. I guess for me, though, Mary Kay, my first thought was like, I don't know, outside of money, and maybe that's what it was about. I don't know what Tennessee offers DeAndre Hopkins. Certainly had he come to Cleveland for a visit and just compared the two teams, money out of the equation, the Browns would have been a no-brainer. Do you think this was ultimately about what Tennessee paid him? Why do you think he chose the Titans? And also, like, is there still a part of you that wishes the Browns would have maybe pushed a little harder?
Yeah, there is a part of me that wishes the Browns would have pushed a little harder and shown a little bit more interest. I don't think they wanted to rock the boat. I think they were very happy with what they put together in their receiver room. I don't think they wanted to upset the apple cart that much. That's a huge presence that you'd be dropping into the middle of the room. So I just don't think they were up for doing that. I think a lot of what we heard from Deshaun Watson when he was supporting DeAndre Hopkins and talking about wanting to have him come here, I think it was, in some ways an effort to really help get his name out there and, make people realize how valuable of a receiver he is. I think the reason why he ended up in Tennessee is because the market for him at that point just wasn't there at the time. He only went and visited the Titans and then he went to visit the Patriots. He never even came into Cleveland, which I thought would have been an absolute no-brainer. At least bring him in, hear what he has to say. But I think that shows you just sort of the lack of genuine interest in signing him, that they didn't even bring him in. As far as what the Titans have to offer, they don't really have many of the things on his checklist. He really wanted that elite quarterback, which Deshaun was and a lot of others were. He had a list of teams and criteria, and he certainly had a list of really good quarterbacks that he wanted to play for. And Ryan Tannehill was not on that list. So I think at this point, he kind of had to take what he could get. And, that's what happens sometimes to a player who is 31 years old and in the double-digit million range. So certainly not what he was hoping for or expecting. But as we know, the Browns will see him in week 3 here in Cleveland now.
I don't know if the Browns would have paid him that much money. I do feel like maybe they could have or should have put on a little bit more of a full court press. One maybe just for Deshaun Watson, to show him, just in good faith with him. But also just, I think they could have used him. I think there was a place for him on this roster. And it feels to me like Andrew and Kevin maybe disagree with that notion, that they're really happy with the group they have, which they're the ones in charge. They get paid all the money to make those decisions. So we'll ride with it. But I would have liked to have seen them push for DeAndre a little harder.
Yeah, they were happy with what they had. And like you said, when can you not use a DeAndre Hopkins if you're trying to get to the Super Bowl? I mean, it certainly can't hurt to have a player like that on your roster. And as we have seen so many times before, Andrew Berry knows how to get a guy onto the roster, onto the football team, and pay him about $1.2 million or $2 million in his first year. You give him the upfront money, you lower that base salary, you keep your cap low. You have to come up with cash, but the Browns have the cash. Jimmy has the cash. So if they had wanted to do it, they could have done it. They chose not to, didn't need to, for their sake, hopefully for them, that Amari Cooper will stay nice and healthy this year, because, that would be the one place where you would say, boy, we really could have used DeAndre Hopkins now that, Amari's going to be out for a little bit of time.